to be electromagnetic.
Right.
We do. Ultimately, we need to be electromagnetic. Why am I focusing on magnetism today? Because we are so magnetically deficient. You know? Yeah. And I would say, like a lot, like we said, magnetism is a feminine energy. Electricity is a male energy. Just generally speaking, we are too yang in this society. You know? And even energetically. So, but you're right, the balance is needed. Ultimately, that is what we need to be. Electromagnetic. Okay? So I would affirm that.
Any more questions before we go for lunch?
One more question. Have you studied the periodic table of elements?
I certainly have.
Y'all been looking at it lately.
I advocate all of us to study.
Yes.
Periodic table of
Now
elements.
say that again, Damani, what is it?
The periodic table of this is the Minister Eaton. I'm talking about the periodic table.
Periodic table of elements.
Chemistry.
Consubstantiation. We are all made of the same substance.
Right.
So we got to know the nature of our elements to know the nature of us. Know thyself. So yeah, we got to study the periodic table of elements. We got to know what elements are magnetic, which elements are metallic, which elements, like what are they? What, you know, what's a gas? What's inert? We need to know all of that.
And one more thing, I was on a YouTube video. 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds are learning the periodic table of elements. And so white people teaching their children the periodic table of elements at an early age. They teach their children so they can make things. So you can go into physical science and you go into the hard sciences.
I would like
We're into black people. We're into the social science, the psychology and sociology.
I'm going to add to that real fast, Damani.
Okay.
I literally just made the comment, brother, if you had been my chemistry teacher, I would have probably pursued a career in science.
Right.
Because I think I'm intelligent. I can get it.
You are intelligent.
We think so.
Yes.
But when we're sitting in them chemistry classes, I'm like, what? And the number one thing that you said, you clarified for decades, the electrons and the protons, positive, negative. I was like, wait, if there's a plus sign over there, why is it called positive? No, like that whole thing right there is what collapses. Because that's one of the first things you learn when you're learning chemistry is you break down a cell. And so when they start giving us this stuff that's contradictory, our brain's like, that makes absolutely no sense. And so from the instant, you're lost. Because I can't move past the fact that you just mislabeled that stuff with the words that you said. So now I'm stuck and I don't feel confident in the rest of it because, wait, is this one of those tricky ones too? Did I miss something? Are you trying to trick me? So I think that it is, once again, really important, particularly for our youth, to have someone or someone's to actually, one, explain it in language that we understand, and two, to make it relevant. You're telling me, we're talking about hydrogen gas and all of these different things, but they don't make it relevant in terms of, hey, this is how this mini, this is in your body, this is that mini system in your body, or this is the mini system that, you know, that happens when you digest food, or they don't put it in that way. It becomes this very abstract thing. And we're very abstract thinkers, but in terms of the way that they teach it to us, they try to make it seem like it's a practical thing instead of I don't know.
Right.
It's like
no, it's an abstract, non-relative science. They teach it in,
that's exactly how
in a way that is, But we are relative learners. And that manifests 3 ways. First, we got to be able to relate to the teacher. We got to have that interpersonal relationship, right? We have to, what is being shared, we usually relate known to unknown. That's why in our classes you'll often hear youth say, it's like when. Okay? When you hear it's like when, that's when you know You got it. Because what they're doing is they're relating that previously unknown concept to something they know. Right? And then we have to see the relevance.
I think it speaks directly to what the young man was talking about.
Exactly.
What she said, it speaks
This is the learning style of our youth. And ourselves. You know, I mean, this is how we learn. And we do have to take all that in when we're sharing this information with our young people. All right. For me, it was trigonometry. I failed trigonometry. It was like, where would you ever use this stuff? And it wasn't until I started studying astrology, and it's like, oh, if you plotting the movement of planets across space-time, you need trigonometry. Sine, cosine, oh, okay. And then I was able to relearn it. You know, like, and I taught all this stuff myself. I didn't learn this stuff in school. I had the same challenges in school as around these scientific subjects as a lot of our youth do. But yeah, give thanks. I was kind of inspired to rehash it.
Okay, all right. Today and tomorrow will be on our YouTube page. So if you missed something or you want to share something, you'll be able to go on our YouTube page in about 2 weeks. And that's so we are recording, so all your questions and remarks will be recorded. Okay, so please speak up. So for the our YouTube page. Okay, Bianca.
Paramagnetic stones and magnetic stones. So when we talk about ionic stones, we're talking about stones that generate magnetic ions. Put magnetic ions in your energy field and in your environments. Remember, we mentioned the organite. Someone asked about organite. They said, well, what does organite do? Organite would be in this family. Even though it's more than a stone, it is an ionizer. Okay? But if you're just looking for a crystal, like the premier crystal that's ionizing or an ionizer, is the double terminated quartz. Alright? Or quartz that has points on both ends. Alright? Quartz is what they say, it's piezoelectric or piezoelectric in nature, meaning when pressure is applied to quartz. So either you squeeze it or you're talking and the sound vibrations from your words are bouncing off of it. All of this interaction with quartz causes it to release magnetic ions. So when you're wearing it and your heart's beating and you're talking, or it's in your pocket, fumbling around with all that money you're attracting to yourself, right? It's continually releasing those magnetic ions. Okay? If you have, let's say you got big quartz in your house, put it near your stereo speakers. So when you play your music and that resonance goes through the quartz, that's your ionizer. You don't need to buy the electric ones from Walmart. You can just put a nice big quartz by your speakers. Okay? So now, paramagnetic stones. Stones that have those magnetic fields, but they're not going to stick to metal, stick to iron like a magnet. Alright? This is probably the most important family of crystals to work with. Who could tell me why, based on what we were talking about earlier? Why are paramagnetic the most important ones to work with?
Because it connects everything?
Because we're magnetic?
We're what kind of magnetic? Biomagnetism is what? Paramagnetic. Remember we said that. Biomagnetism. So the Earth's magnetic field, our magnetic field, the magnetic field of living things is paramagnetic in nature. It's not ferromagnetic. Okay? So paramagnetic stones, their energy is going to resonate with our life force the most. Okay? So now, the premier paramagnetic stone, and I'll say this, generally speaking, this is a generalization, but the strongest paramagnetic stones are iron silicates. Okay? Iron silicates, stones with iron and silica in them, tend to have the strongest paramagnetic. And I'm moving ahead of my slides, I think. I sure am. Just running on them out. Alright. Iron silicates, generally speaking, strongest paramagnetic fields. Okay? So, probably the most common, the most well-known iron silicate would be the garnet. Garnet family. Okay? And the strongest paramagnetic stones, Moki marbles. Okay? They call these these, like, you know, I avoid, I do my best to make us the book, right? Don't do the, like, new age prescribing of crystals, you know what I mean? But it is good to cross-reference that sometimes, like let's say you intuit something or you read your own book of life and, right, you don't just want to kind of reaffirm what you're intuiting, right? So if you go to some of those other sources like metaphysical, new age sources on crystals, these are called the shaman stones or the magi stones. Okay? And on one level it is because the Moki, the indigenous Moki Native Americans, this was their shaman stone, right? But then I think it has a lot to do with what we've been talking about today. These stones have the strongest paramagnetic force. So if you are intending to be the magi, and think, feel, act, and have that manifestation, magnetize that manifestation you intend, right? These are the stones to work with, okay? And usually paramagnetic stones, if you're using them in that intention, they work best in pairs, okay? So you can get a pair of Mokis and you move them slowly around one another. And you're going to feel their subtle magnetic fields interacting. It's going to feel like they're pushing and pulling on each other as you move them around. You could take two garnets and do the same thing. Okay? It might not feel as intense as the Mokis, you know. And the Mokis, I mentioned iron and silica, right? So Mokis are they're concretions or circles within circles, right? If you were to pop one open, it looks like a hard-boiled egg, where on the inside you have a yolk of sandstone, so just like sandy cement. That's what it looks like. And then it has this coating of fossilized iron. We know sand is silica. And then the shell is fossilized iron. So here we got this iron silicate. Okay? And again, that's so some other paramagnetic stones You got really most iron stones, like this is iron silicate, the strongest, but most iron stones are going to be paramagnetic too. So pyrite, which is iron and sulfur, iron sulfide. Hematite, which is iron oxide. Okay, your space metals. There's a whole family of meteorites that are iron and nickel based. They tend to be paramagnetic. Franklinite, which comes out of Franklin, New Jersey. You'll probably get it online. It is a valuable stone beyond just the Magi state. It is iron, manganese, and zinc. So now we store manganese one place in the body. Does anybody know where that is? Manganese, where do we store manganese? What organ holds manganese? The heart. Okay, we store manganese in the heart. And we should all know about zinc, because that's one of those generational deficient elements that's plaguing us. Where do we store zinc?
Something with sexuality.
Thank you, brother. Our gonads. Alright? Prostate in the brothers, the uterus in the sisters. Okay? So franklinite, it has the iron, so it's addressing our blood. It's got the manganese, it's strengthening the heart. And it's got the zinc, it's blessing the prostate and the uterus. Okay? It's hard to get. I usually go to the mine itself like once a year and I'm able to get some specimens. And we probably are going to plan a trip there in September. And y'all going to be on the east side. Okay? So that's your paramagnetic family. Okay? And now the other family are magnetic stones. Actual magnets. Now, nature only makes two magnetic stones. Okay? One is called lodestone. Alright? This just looks like a black rock. And you wouldn't know it's magnetic unless you put iron filings, little iron shavings on it. And then the iron filings kind of line up with the magnetism on the lodestone. The other is called magnetite. And that is a magnetic crystal that's shaped as an octahedron, 8-sided, like a double pyramid, base to base. Okay? Now, nature's magnets have a very low gauge. Gauge is the measure of magnetic potential. Alright? So look, so it's a very rare lodestone that you're going to find and be able to stick it on a refrigerator and it's steady. Or find a piece of magnetite and stick it on the refrigerator and it's steady. You know? Because even though it is magnetic and it will stick to metals, will attract itself to metals. The attraction isn't strong enough that if, like, you might feel it when you put it there, but as soon as you move your hand, it's going to fall. Right? Magnets with strong gauze are all man-made. Okay? So now, this is one of those instances. Because, right, we want to be natural. Right? We're natural people. We want to be natural. There's one of those instances. It's more important to be natural and just stick to that. Like, I'm just going to deal with, I'm not going to deal with nothing artificial. Right?
Right.
Or am I going to get the healing potential out of these magnets? Okay? So, what I do recommend is if you are going to work with magnets, get the what they call biomagnetic products. Okay? Because those will tend to be made with the metals and it will tend to have the strength, the gauze that's healthy for us. Alright? Real powerful magnets magnets with a super strong gauze might be too much. Okay? Those neodymium magnets, y'all familiar with those? They call them rare earth magnets. They're very powerful. Okay? They're very powerful. Some are so strong that if they get stuck together and there's nothing in between them, then you ain't getting them apart. Okay? Those ones that they make, they make security doors. You know the doors where there's a magnetic lock that they got to push the button to release. So the strength of those magnets, yeah, that's too much for us. Okay, so in terms of magnetic force, more isn't always better. Okay, we're paramagnetic. We got a subtle magnetic field. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of hematite magnetic products out. Hematite bracelets, hematite beads, hematite magnetized hematite massage tools. I think they're good. They're not natural, I'm gonna tell you. Somebody made them. All right, but they're still good for us. All right. Now, another thing about magnets we need to be aware of is the polarity, because magnets have a north pole and a south pole, right? And it's the magnetic south in polarized magnets. Paramagnetic stones, you don't got to worry about no polarity. You know, all the energy it radiates is healing and blessed. Once you get into man-made magnetic stones, you do need to be mindful of the polarity and make sure that it's the south pole that is flowing into you. Y'all with me? All right. All right, we already mentioned, we talked about iron throughout today. Okay? So, and I did mention all iron-based stones tend to be paramagnetic. Okay? And I do just want to affirm that iron magnetizes the whole being. Okay? It deals with our heat. You know, I say we get in a room, what happens? It heats up, right? That's sulfur in us. Okay? So iron and sulfur together, it really helps with it helps awaken our nature.
So people that can stand a lot of cold, they have a deficiency of sulfur?
Yeah, they could use more sulfur. When we eat spicy foods, peppers, onion, and garlic, that's sulfur. The sensation, the heat you experience is sulfur in those foods. Okay? So, yes, cold-blooded nature, cold fingers, low tolerance for heat, low tolerance for cold, pyrite would be excellent. Okay? And these are a list of stones that have iron in it. Okay? Mention the hematite, the limonite, that's fossilized hematite, that's what's on the Mokies. Magnetite, olivine, those are the peridot family. Okay, peridot is iron, silica, and magnesium. Very important. Okay. Some tourmalines, black and specific. Black tourmaline tends to have iron in it also. Okay? Now, we mentioned this.
Can I ask one question?
Please.
Before you go into that, what's that black stone on the bottom? Is that one that you just talked about?
Black tourmaline.
Black
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I am going to run down
Okay.
the stones I brought. But it's no worries. We gotta nourish. We gotta be iron rich in our nourishment. Okay? one of the iron, I call it my iron quickie. Like you just need like a quick shot of some iron, goji berries.
Yeah.
Okay, and to start your day with goji berries, like a little bit of goji, because that's another thing with iron too. The way we assimilate it, we do it better if we are exposed to a little bit over time. You know, a little bit every day, than a big dose of iron. We can't handle that. And it'll usually just, we'll get constipated or we'll just excrete it. Okay? So it's best to have a little bit every day. Okay? So goji berries to start your morning, great way to build up your iron. You know, but I mean like a month, 2 months, not 3 or 4 days and they're getting stuck in my teeth, you know. They will get stuck in your teeth, you know. Dandelion, as far as herbs, dandelion and burdock tea. Excellent sources of iron. And really the whole dandelion, like dandelion leaves in salads, dandelion greens in salads. Okay? And beets. You know, that is like how they would say all beets are iron rich. Generally speaking, red foods. Living red food.
But the leaf has more iron in it than the beet itself.
Wow.
It actually has almost 1,000% more iron. But most people discard the leaves.
Yes.
They just do the beet.
And so, make them in salads?
Or juice, or put them in
or blend them.
Or juice, okay?
Beets were in the quinoa today, so a little bit of the grains and the beets were chopped up in the quinoa. So, you got it.
Yes, sis.
prunes. Aren't they a good iron source too?
I'm not sure, but it's. I know it's dark.
Dark plums.
Yeah, dark foods. I wouldn't be surprised. So.
Okay.
So yes, you know that because you can't just work with the crystal. It's got to be holistic. All right, the elements without and within. Okay.
I hate that.
All right, now, remember we talked about that root mag. What element begins with the root mag? Magnesium. So magnesium is another important element to magnetize ourselves. Okay? And specifically, magnesium magnetizes the mind, our thoughts. It gets our nervous system on that magnetic polarity. Okay? And some lapis lazuli or lazulite is a magnesium stone. Serpentine, again that peridot family, right? And I should mention, iron is to hemoglobin as magnesium is to what? Chlorophyll.
Oh.
Iron is to hemoglobin as magnesium is to chlorophyll. Okay? So the chlorophyll molecule, hemoglobin molecule, they look identical. They look identical. And they are identical in every respect except in hemoglobin where you find iron and chlorophyll there's magnesium. Okay? So peridot is olivine. Peridot is a very good crystal for plant spirit communion. Plant spirit connection. Communing with plants. Like George Washington Carver. He was probably magnesium rich. You know, I'm just, you know, he was a magnesium-rich man. So he could hear plants. Okay?
That's what he said.
So, you know, on other levels, that's what you know, I'm talking about like the element just beyond it. But in this context, we need our nervous system, magnesium-rich, to magnetize our thoughts. Now, magnesium-rich foods, whole grains tend to be magnesium-rich. Avocado, great source of magnesium. And almonds, king of the nuts. And that might be why it is, because of the source of magnesium. But now, this is something, I'm going to add one more quality. We're going to talk about one more quality of magnetism that is important. And that is polarity. And magnetic fields do have polarity. So when we magnetize ourselves, right, we're eating all this iron-rich food and magnesium-rich food, we still got to make sure we have the right polarity. Okay? And our polarity is really determined by the thoughts coming out of our head and the feelings coming out of our heart. And generally speaking, our polarity can either be attractive or repulsive. If our polarity is repulsive, we're actually going to, with our newly magnetized self, we can kind of push away the things we intend. Okay? So, how do we make sure that our thoughts are magnetized? Selfish, self-centered, this is general. Selfish, self-centered thoughts are repulsive in polarity. Thoughts that are for the good of the collective are magnetic. Okay? We're going to keep it just that simple.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you give like the example?
Give an example.
A couple on the side.
Couple of examples, okay? Let's say I want to open a health food store, right? Or something. I want to open up a health food store. But my only thoughts around it is about how much money I'm going to make. How I'm going to get the wholesale price on all the good products that I need. Right? And how, I'm going to fake my landlord out so I can get $100 off rent every month. And I might, I'm going to put 20% on top of everything instead of 10. The polarity of those thoughts is repulsive. So not only will I might not manifest that health food store, I might actually push it further out of my possibility. But now let's say I'm starting the same health food store. But my intent, boy, I'm gonna be able to get Zeolite for everybody. And I know this organic farmer, this black organic farmer. I'm going to be his outlet. Help him get his food straight to the community. And you got the idea. I'm thinking thoughts that are now same goal. It's the same goal. I want to open a health food store. But my thinking around it now is really how it's going to help everybody. Those thoughts are going to be magnetic. It's going to. When we say we're magnetized, How do we define that? We attract the relationships and resources to manifest our intentions. Okay? So those thoughts about how much money I'm going to make, how I'm going to get all the zeolite for myself, discount, right? I'm pushing away the possibilities. The possibilities are diminishing and minimizing. When I'm thinking, boy, I'm going to help we all going to get well. We all going to get organic food discount. I'm going to be able to help those elders out in the senior home, set up classes, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking out for the collective. That is going to, those thoughts are going to attract the people and resources I need to make it happen. Okay? So that's the general polarity of our thoughts. Y'all with me on that?
Yes.
All right. All right, now let's talk about emotions. Okay? Because thoughts is the mind. But our hearts and our minds, they got to work in unison for us to be magnetic. Because remember we said, where's our dynamo? It's that blood circulating around our heart, right? So it's got to be head and heart in unity, working in oneness. So, what is the element that magnetizes our emotions? It's manganese. Manganese. Okay? And like I mentioned it, we only store it one place, and that's the heart. Okay? That dude, Cecil Rhodes, we got to come up with another name for these crystals. Rhodochrosite and rhodonite. Alright? Because those are our manganese stones. And what color do they manifest in? Ironically. Pink. And we know pink is the color of the heart healer. So manganese stones they'll manifest in two colors. Black, because like elemental magnesium is black, or pink. Okay? And the rhodochrosite, rhodonite, big heart blessers. What makes rose quartz pink? It's quartz with manganese. Okay? So, yes. Alright, manganese. And here it's got that mag word sound in it too. So now, dark foods tend to be manganese rich. Blueberries, leafy greens. Okay? What else we got? Raspberries and seeds. Seeds tend to have manganese. Fresh seeds, not roasted. Okay?
Like sunflower seeds or sesame seeds.
Yes. Yes. So now, just how collective thoughts are magnetic, we could also have repulsive thoughts. We can definitely have repulsive emotions and repulsive feelings. What's the most repulsive emotion we could express if we're trying to manifest something?
Hate.
That's one, definitely.
Anger.
Fear.
Fear. Thank you. Fear. If we're intending to now, hate and anger will repulse people. But if we're intending to manifest, the most repulsive emotion we can have is fear.
As if you're afraid to open the health food store.
Right.
because you think
Well, how am I going to pay the rent every month?
Right.
How am I going to get my materials? Are the people going to come and, you know, niggas ain't going to buy nothing from me,
Right.
you know. You play all that out, and then you'll self-defeat. You won't even, you'll, yeah, you won't start. Okay? But hate and anger are definitely repulsive emotions too that the Magi can't work with. Because the Magi's emotions, the magical emotions, is love and gratitude.
So even under any circumstances, it's like it's not even like politically or whatever, it's not good to kind of hate that kind of situation.
If you want to be a Magi, you have to increase the love in your heart and minimize the hate. Love is the magnetic emotion. All right? And I'm going to tie it into something we spoke of earlier. Okay? Remember we said gravity is magnetism on a celestial scale. And magnetism is gravity on the molecular scale. Love is gravity, magnetism. It's that same force on the human scale. Are y'all with me on that?
Yeah.
So the way we have the greatest influence on the fabric of space-time is with the power of love. The way we have the greatest influence on the movement of magnetic ions, magnetic fields, where they moving, what they touching, what they doing, love. This is the science of love. This is why Jesus was all the ascended masters. Their message always comes forward to love. This is why. Because it's our experience of the strongest force in the omniverse. That's how we experience it. And it's very magnetic. Okay? And gratitude. Gratitude. Those they say, Ras Ben, how you doing? What's my response? Thankful. I'm thankful. That should be everybody. How you doing? How you doing today, sister? All right. How you doing, sister? We should. How you doing, brother? All right. If y'all ain't learned nothing else today, walk away with that. When they say, how are you doing? I'm thankful. And just say it. Every opportunity. Increase gratitude. And we got to even be thankful for our own problems.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we can have someone else's.
Yes, sir.
And they're teaching us.
You can have someone else's. So be thankful for everything. The Magi is even what appears to be a challenge or a hardship. You go through a challenge, as much as possible, avoid putting an emotional value judgment on it right in that moment.
Can you say that again?
You're going through a challenge. Something that, like, if you weren't striving to be a Magi, might get you really emotionally out of whack. Feeling a lot of anger, feeling a lot of frustration, a lot of despair, and right?
Comcast.
So as much as possible, right in that moment, avoid putting a value judgment on it.
There is no right or wrong.
There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. Because usually, and I know we all have experienced this, what's a hardship in the moment, time turns out it was a blessing. Right? So that's why just be cool. Hold, like, don't spiral into the toxic emotions. And this does take discipline. This does take discipline. Right? But when you do it once, and you stay thankful, Like even that drama goes down, just be like, I'm thankful, I'm thankful. It looks jacked up, but I'm thankful. And just kind of let time reveal the other side of it. You do it once, it's easier after that. Because then you know. Alright? But as much as possible, we have to keep love and gratitude in our hearts. Those are the magnetic emotions of the Magi. Okay? And the more manganese we have in our body, I don't know if I mentioned that.
Right.
That a lot of times if we're, let's say,
Right.
yes.
Question before we move on. So, Magi, do you consider that to be part of our rich endowment?
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
We have it already. It's part of us.
It's
we
part
just
of
don't
us.
know when and how to do
When we
Yeah.
finished our 40 years of initiation in Kemet, one of the titles you were awarded was Magi. When Joseph and Mary were about to give birth, who knew? The Magi. And they came with frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Right? So it is a part of us, and it's in us.
Yes.
It's in us.
Yes.
You know? And a lot of us are close where a lot we think. That's why I talked about the science, but really being a Magi is very simple. Make sure you are well nourished with at least 3 elements: iron, magnesium, and manganese. Because this, I don't know why my slide. This is my first time with my new technology too. I gotta work with me. But let's say you find it difficult to feel that love frequency in your heart, right? You're probably manganese deficient. Okay? You need manganese. The more manganese we have, the greater capacity our heart has to experience love. Okay? Alright. And the pink stones, the rose quartz. Rose quartz, rhodonite, rhodochrosite, kunzite. Okay? These are all pink stones. And this and the emotional wellness is where the copper stones come into. I mentioned that. So malachite, let's say you have a lot of stored trauma that's preventing your full expression of love. You know, abuse as a child or abuse as a mate, right? Got your heart blocked up. Malachite on the heart while you're resting. And you got to be willing to let it go. You got to be willing to forgive yourself. Forgive who else did what you got to let it go. Not for their sake, but for your sake. It's your heart that's blocked up, not theirs. You're not responsible for their heart, but you are responsible for yours. You know? And we know in Kemet, the heart had to be what?
Lighter than a feather.
Light as a feather. So the malachite is what lightens the heart. It gets that stored pain out. Okay? So I think that's about it for the presentation. I do want to, so the stones that I brought, I did bring stones like that help with the movement of the Magi. Of course, the rose quartz is to increase the love, right? Amethyst, This is for that imagination, you know? And does anybody know the power? This is a quartz, silicon dioxide, but what is making the amethyst purple? What element? Iron. So this is an iron silicate. I never tried to see if amethyst is paramagnetic too. Let me see. I'm distracted. I gotta get still and do it. We got the double terminated quartz. We got the mochis, garnets, and black tourmaline, all of which are paramagnetic. Okay, and I do have to apologize. I was in the whirlwind, like prepping to get out here. Those that follow me on Facebook know just last week I was in the Free Your Mind conference. It was a big 3-day conference in Philly. So I was, you know, deeply engrossed with that. I shipped some books out, but we didn't get them for today. Creator willing, they will be with us tomorrow. All right. So I will have my books out. Creator willing. All right. And even if I don't have them out tomorrow, because they're going to be here, and y'all are connected with AABH, we'll work out some way where y'all going to get them. It ain't going to be like we just going to mail them back to Philly. All right. So we will make that happen. Make sure those who want books will have get a copy. And
should we have a sign-up sheet for the books?
Well, let's see if they come tomorrow.
Okay, okay.
Let's see if they come tomorrow, and we'll think of something to share tomorrow. We'll have like a system to make sure they'll get it to share for tomorrow. So I do want. How much is the charge? $20 in person, $25 online. I do it 20 in person and sign it. Okay. Yes, sister.
I have a question. I'm totally new to crystals. So how do you use these crystals? What do you do with them? I see you wearing one. So is that the best?
Well, adornment is something our ancestors have done from ancient times, right? But to be honest, I avoid prescribing.
Okay.
All right, and why? Because I think one of the greatest gifts the mineral nation has for us is clear inner communication and inner knowing. Right? So you come up, you see something you vibe with, you might not know its name, you don't know nothing about it, but it's just something inside of you saying, this one's for me. Right? And you just go with it. And then whatever, like, put in your left shoe. Now, that's going to hurt. Just go with it. Right? And then you're going to get a double blessing. Whatever release, breakthrough, whatever energy exchange needed to happen, you're going to have that happen. And then next time your inner self tells you something, you'll be more inclined to listen and believe. You know? So, but the book does give us principles to be aware of. Like what element is in the crystals and what those elements do in our body. Right? The colors of the chakras. Because if we know the colors of the chakras, then oh, it's pink. I ain't got to know nothing else. Right. I know it's going to bless my heart. You know what I'm saying? Hardness, crystal type. You know, we kind of get into those things. So you can be the book. That's really, we want to be the source that informs us on what crystals. Not a book. You know, so Rocks of Ages is like the anti-crystal book. You know, that's why I'll be honest, a lot of people are disappointed when they get it. They want they're expecting an A to Z encyclopedia. You know, it's not. Rocks of Ages is going to make you be the book. So people that are willing to read themselves, they're disappointed with Rocks of Ages.
It's a very good book.
Yes.
So what's the, like, what is the pros and cons between polished and unpolished?
Excellent question. Again, this ultimately gets into, am I going to hold fast and only deal with natural things not crafted by the hand of a man? Right? And you know, I honor that. You know, some people are very firm in their convictions, you know, and there is a value in that, you know. But some stones, their beauty and potential to heal is brought out by cutting and polishing. Okay? Rose quartz being one of them. Because rose quartz will not crystallize in nature. This is technically a rock and not a crystal. Okay? Meaning a crystal, you're going to see the crystallization. You're going to see determination. It's going to come to some, you're going to see some geometric expression. Because a crystal is anything that has an organized molecular structure. And usually the organization of the molecules are reflected in the shape of the crystal. Okay? They're just shaped like big rocks. You know, big jagged rocks that, you know, you put on your heart, you might gash yourself, you know. So when they cut and polish it, oh, now I got a little massage tool, you know. I got something that really feels good in my hand, rests well in my body. And it's like brought out the luster and the translucentness of it. You know, its beauty's been brought out. So, malachite the same way. Malachite is pure copper ore. It's more of a rock than a crystal. So when they polish malachite and bring out that, so if you saw malachite straight out the earth, it's really black. It's black and chalky and kind of unappealing, you know. And even like when you touch it, it like sticks on your hands, and like you get this uncomfortable feeling on your hands. Like you want to just go and wash your hands right away, you know. Whereas when they polish malachite, they bring out that green luster, and it feels good to hold. Okay.
And, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Raj, if we examine some of the what you call them, the biomagnets, and we like them, is there a way to get them
wrapped up?
Yeah, yeah. So
I do have my tools. I can wrap. Yes, yeah. I don't. Ideally, let me wrap them and present them tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday. All right, like, you know, we could connect, pick them out. Let me wrap them up, and I'll get them to you between tomorrow and Monday.
Okay, so you're gonna be in this area.
I'm here through. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I'm here through Tuesday, and I am also offering like private consultations and body works. I brought some very healing crystals with me that you know, I'm gonna do some layouts with. One in particular is the one I'm wearing. It's called Covalite. This is a stone. I'm new to this, but I want y'all to look up Covalite when you have the chance. Look up Covalite on Wikipedia. Don't go to crystalmagic.com or nothing like that. C-O-V-E-L-L-I-T-E. Okay? But Covalite, you're going to find out on Wikipedia, was the first discovered naturally occurring superconductor.
Wow.
Okay? Meaning, if you put an electric current through this, it has no ohmage. It's not going to offer any resistance to that energy moving through it. Okay? As opposed to copper wire, which is just a regular conductor. It allows energy to move through, but it offers some resistance. That resistance expresses as heat felt on the wire. Okay? So the cobalite, we talk about removing that stored trauma. Right? Because this is copper, it's a copper stone. It's copper, sulfur, and carbon. It's the three things in melanin. Okay? Carbon, copper, sulfur. 3 elements in melanin. So this is like crystal melanin. Okay? And so I've been working with it. What my experience is, it's like there's no resistance to the healing. You know, a lot of times we like to hold on to things we need to heal from. Okay. The cobalite, it's like you put that cobalite on before you think, oh, it's already gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got, it's expensive though. That's the problem with cobalite. I'm looking for a reasonable source. Right now I'm just finding pieces that I can use in healing and body works. You know, like a pair for the hands might be $120 wholesale. You know, I'm talking about like, that's why I don't really, because I knew if I were to put it up and be like, yeah, that's $240, you know. most of my crystals, 10, 5, 10, 20. Because that's the psychology of our people. Until they reach that magi state, you know, 5, 10, 20. That's the psychology of our people. Once you 30 and be above, yeah, the denominations that they got in their pocket. You know, 5, 10, 20. So cobalite, it ain't half, you know. I have it for the healing. So if you want to experience that, I have it up. You know, I have pieces with me, and I could do consultations like if you have more intense health questions or crystal questions. I could even do some astrology works with you. So I'll be up here through Tuesday. All right. Yes.
Can I do a brief testimony?
Please.
Well, I just want to let everyone know when I first met Ross, I had a crystal, what do you call it?
A layout.
Layout, yes. Bianca went with me to open. And it was so wonderful. Yeah, I felt like I had a full body massage. Yes, yes. It was different. So if you haven't had one, I do advise. But the other thing is that I've been working with the sodalite crystals, and he had me for my eyes. And whenever I put the crystals on my eye at night, and then I just till I fall asleep, and then I find them in the bed somewhere the next day. But it expels a lot of mucus out of my eyes the next day, all the crusty. So I'm still working with them because it's good to release that mucus out of the eyes. And then the interesting thing with the rose quartz, because we talked about blockage in my heart, which I knew. You're not the first one that said that. My heart was blocked, so to open it. So I put the rose quartz on my heart, and at night too sometimes. But I was having too many dreams, romantic dreams. Every night I dreamed about a different ex-boyfriend. Those men who know me know I have a lot of ex-boyfriends. But it was good things, it was never hostility. But that was the interesting part. I was having lots of romantic dreams. And then, but the other thing is, subtracting men. Yes, and right now I'm fasting off and on, so I'm not really trying to, you know, because I'm doing long fasts sometimes. So I thought, let me quit working with this rose quartz for a while until I'm really kind of ready to get
ready to receive that love.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm not making this up.
Thanks.
Yes, yeah. So when you're ready, you get you a rose quartz.
Rob, can you give any credence to the theory that crystals, in specific like quartz crystals, were used in ancient times, remote antiquity, as like repositories of knowledge and information? I mean, like literal storage devices like
yeah, like a library.
Yeah, like
they absolutely were. They absolutely were.
And
just as today, I mean, computers are quartz. It's quartz.
I mean, quartz crystals are starting to be used now for like 4 or 5 dimensional digital storage. I mean,
that's right.
Of course, they haven't hit mainstream, but you know, they're in the developmental stage right now, where you know they've got thousands of times more storage capacity than like hard drives we're using now. We're talking like exabytes.
Yes.
Storage in just like a handful of crystal, because it's like 4 or 5 dimensional storage. But there's like evidence that this was already done in remote antiquity, thousands of years.
Absolutely. And just sad to say though, it was misused back then too. You know, like a lot of misuse today.
I want to say one more thing about that rose quartz.
Yes, please.
That I thought was important is to get more serious. I noticed in the last year and a half or so that I've been using, my heart is much more open, and it's manifesting itself through, I just have a lot more heartfelt compassion towards people. And I keep my 2 nieces a lot. People
brought that up too, because it made me remember there was one other thing I wanted to share with you, and that's the most magnetic time to do the works of a magi, and that is sunrise, sunset, and the midnight hour. Okay?
What's the midnight hour? Around midnight?
Yeah, around midnight. At night, late at night.
That's when I use.
Okay. So at that time, that's when we're quiet, breathing deeply, and have that magnificence of our imagination clear enough, you know, see it and feel the excitement and joy and gratitude that you would have with that thing manifest. But not just your joy and happiness the same, but everyone's. Because you remember what? Selfish thoughts are what?
Repulsive.
Are repulsive. All right? So the thoughts that, so we want to see everyone smiling, happy, thankful around that intention that we want, that we intend to manifest. And you got to spend, the Magi spends a lot of time by themselves, quiet. Okay? So sunrise, sunset, midnight hour. Noontime is usually too much. Yeah, it's a lot jumping off. Just kind of, you know, if you're going to just be in that do mode, I guess that's the time to do. We want to be in that being mode, Elder. Sunrise, sunset, midnight hour. All right?
Yeah, I was wondering if you're talking about more about what you offer, and also maybe announce the Oakland visit which is coming up.
Yes, yes. Next Saturday, I will be in Emeryville, which is right outside of Oakland, at Jacqueline Spa. So, if you give me your, well, I tell you what, I'm going to give you my phone number. 267.
Okay, 1 second. Okay.
At 267-353-2002. And you can text me and say, please send me the Oakland flyer. Text me and say, please send the Oakland flyer, and I'll reply it to you. Okay?
Can we get it one more again?
267-353-2002.
And then
Okay, so basically, I kind of use an integrated approach. I use the crystals, Kemetic Reiki. I'm a member of the Ras Kemetic Healing, and that's who y'all should get out here next year. Kajara Nia Yah, founder of the Ras Arts, Temple Arts Healing Community.
Okay, I'll get that now.
I'll get, yes. So that's those that follow me on Facebook know we just did a mining trip to Arkansas in March. That's who we did it with, the Ras Healing Arts Community. The sister's based out of Asheville. But basically, you know how Mauta Ashby resurrected Kemetic yoga? It's like, you know, they got the yoga in the East, but then he looked at the glyphs and was like, that's yoga. And it brought out those ancient memories, and he resurrected Kemetic yoga. Nia Yah did the same thing with Reiki. So when she saw the Ka and different poses on the glyphs, she was like, that's Reiki. And she was is a priestess of Sekhmet, and her spiritual disciplines allowed her to resurrect Kemetic form of Reiki. So I am a level 2 practitioner in that. I do a lot of collective works with the Ras Healing Arts community. We just did a level 1 and 2 certification in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago also. So she would be great.
Okay, sure.
She would take y'all, she would really help more empowerment for this community. So crystals, Kemetic Reiki, Kemetic reflexology. So I'll be touching your hands and feet, you know. And so it's subtle but profound. It's light, you know, I'm not needing muscles and joints and things like that, but it is a whole body experience.
So you're not gonna hurt the body?
No.
No, okay.
And we'll just do $1 a minute, you know, $20 minimum, and yeah, do it like that. All right.
So you said, or in the introduction of for you, it said that you have been doing this work for about 2 decades now.
I've been in Philly for 2 decades.
Yeah. Okay. So, but how long have you been doing the metaphysical work, the work with the crystals, and what would you give to like advice to someone, a young person, who is looking to step out of the norm and figure out what it is that their gift, their calling is?
Well, I was fortunate in that as a young 21-year-old seeking, you know, I had like refugees from the 60s hanging out in DC, you know. So they were elders, had gone through a lot through the 60s and 70s, and was able to share, like, you know, what to do and what not to do. And, you know, that I was, so find the elder. You know, we have to honor, we got to honor and value our elders. So I would definitely say that. And I know it's a different time, right? Because we can find out anything we wanted to push of a button. And I see our young people do go to that more readily than an elder. I see that with my own children, you know. But yeah, we gotta find an elder, you know. I would stress that.
Can I add to that too?
And we gotta be elders.
Yes. I was gonna say elders to adopt youth.
Yes.
You know, sometimes
we gotta be elders.
Youth don't see their own potential. They don't even know that that's what they're interested in. But if, like you said, you ran into and they imparted knowledge, maybe piqued your interest, and then that gravitation. I think that's another thing. Sometimes, you know, we want the youth to go to the elders, but the elders have to go to the youth as well. It's a balance.
That is true. We have to make ourselves more available to our youth. We do. Yes, sir. That's it. All right.